All right. So before we get into all the tariff arguments and the markets and Trump and all that other stuff, that'll be a good time. I'm sure I'll offend everybody there. Let's do something that we have to do on this show. We hate it, but we feel obligated to do it to honor the fallen, especially the fallen in training. It's a big thing for me. It always has been. It always will be. When people die in military service or law enforcement, fire, these dangerous jobs, they're dangerous jobs. And training for these jobs is dangerous by necessity. It has to be dangerous, otherwise you can't train properly. And people die in training, and they're oftentimes forgotten and disregarded because it's not glorious. You didn't die in battle, but it's every bit as heroic as the one who did. They served their country in a dangerous job, and they gave their lives. Last week, 4 U.S. Army soldiers died during a training exercise in Lithuania. We were waiting, as we do, until their names were finally released so we can honor them by name. They are Staff Sergeant Jose Duenes Jr., Staff Sergeant Edvin F. Franco, PFC Dante D. Titano, and Staff Sergeant Troy S. Knutson Collins. The oldest is 28. The youngest was 21. They gave their lives for this country, and I've had people email in because they knew we were going to do that. As soon as the training accident was announced, they knew we were going to honor them. And I did have some people asking, how can this happen? Because they were part of an armored group, right? Armored, you would think of it as tanks, but not all armor is tanks. Either way, an armored vehicle, and they ended up submerged in a swamp. They drowned with their vehicle in a swamp. And for people who don't know, they don't realize how easy this can happen. You see, when you see a tank, we'll make it about a tank. When you see a tank, you see this big, powerful machine, all this armor on it, and it is really great, right? It has all this firepower and the guns, and of course you have the protection of being inside of the tank, and all that stuff is true. But all that stuff comes with a sacrifice. Everything is a give and take, isn't it? You can't see. You just can't see. Having been in armor before, it was one of the worst things about it. When we were in armor in Iraq, and ours were called Amtraks. They were troop carriers. But you were fairly protected, somewhat protected inside. And even knowing that, oftentimes, we would bust the hatches open, the door and the roof. We'd bust the hatches open, and we'd stick our heads out, stick our upper bodies out, because you can't see anything inside. If you're about to drive off a bridge, into a ditch, drive over, you can't see. The driver can't see. You can't see. And that's just how it goes. And so these kind of things happen. So we honor them, pray for their families. All right? All right. Now let's talk about something else, shall we? The tariffs. It's all anybody can talk about. The tariffs this, the tariffs that. I am currently fielding more phone calls and text messages from friends than you can possibly imagine. Actually, I had a conversation with a friend on Saturday night. My wife and I got with a bunch of neighbor friends, and we were just watching the Final Four games. The games were on, and we were eating pizza and sitting around talking. And immediately, 2 different dudes came and jumped me. Jesse, what's going on with the tariffs? Jesse, I checked my app. We're losing all this money. Jesse, this. So I know what you're going through. And Donald Trump is talking about, it's going to be painful for a little bit.
Is there pain in the market? At some point, you're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I think it's I don't want anything to go down. But sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs, they moved it to Mexico, they moved it to Canada, they moved a lot of it to China, and it's not sustainable. We're not going to do it. Now we have hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country on a monthly basis. It's pouring, it's already started because they put tariffs on. And eventually it's going to straighten out and our country will be solid and strong again.
Okay. What I'm about to say is we have a little tariff talk. It may make you feel better. It may make you feel worse. You may get mad at me. That's a standard day anyway. So here's what it is. First, what did I tell you when Donald Trump first got elected? We talked about this before he got elected. We talked about it a lot since he got elected. Donald Trump intends to do big things. Big things. He got shot in the head. This is his last 4 years. He can't run for re-election. He's a billionaire, former and current president of the United States of America. Guys like that, they don't look at their lives and their legacy the same way you or I necessarily do. You know, what kind of legacy am I going to leave behind? Well, I think about my sons, right? Are my sons going to be taken care of? How are their families? Are they going to? That's what I think of as my legacy. What am I going to leave behind? Guys like Donald Trump think about what monuments are going to be named after them, right? They just don't. They look at life differently. And Trump's 4 years are going to be full of him attempting big things, which he's dead serious about. I told you about this. He's dead serious about the Panama Canal. He's dead serious about Greenland, the Gulf of America. He's serious about these things. And he's serious when it comes to tariffs, protectionism, fair trade, whatever word you want to put on it, whether you love them or hate them. Donald Trump is dead serious about them. And look, we've got guys like Lutnick out there talking about, well, they're negotiating. 50% of these countries have already reached out to negotiate. Donald Trump has flat out come out and said, well, I mean, look, negotiate all you want. Some of it doesn't even matter.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk?
He's serious. So he means it, okay? Now let's go at this from kind of a different angle than maybe you've heard. I understand there are people who are thrilled about these tariffs, thrilled about them. And the people who are thrilled about them, maybe that's you, will talk about things like bringing back manufacturing. They're correct about that. We need to bring back manufacturing. They're correct about that goal. We need to bring back manufacturing. You have to make things in your country. Not everything, but your country has to have the ability to make things inside your borders. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of others, and that's not good, okay? So that's good. The people who love tariffs, they're going to talk about the Rust Belt and how it got that name. I've lived it. That's my life. I was born in a Rust Belt town on the Ohio River, and I know exactly what it is. These towns where the plant, whatever that plant used to be, steel plant oftentimes, but doesn't matter which kind. These towns existed off the plant. That's where the men worked. That's where oftentimes the women worked. The businesses around that plant were really centered around the plant and the plant workers. The town was the plant. It's what your dad did, your granddad did. It's what you did. It was a power plant where I grew up in Toronto, Ohio, but it was the same thing. The power plant, everyone worked at the plant or a plant adjacent, right? And when the United States of America makes a focused decision, and we did, to ship those jobs overseas, then it's not just the plant that goes, the town goes. The future of a lot of people go. And the people who are pro-tariffs who talk about that are 100% correct. It's been devastating. They should not be ignored. We can't become a country with no steel but a great stock market. That doesn't work at all in that way. So the pro-tariff people are like that. Don't worry, pro-tariff people. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Now, the anti-tariff people, they make great points too, as a matter of fact. Great points. They say things like, well, you can't bring back manufacturing just with tariffs. You have to make the business environment, the labor environment better here. Our environmental regulations alone make it virtually impossible to have a plant here. Are we going to remove all that red tape? Is that our plan? That's a good point. We have a terrible, terrible environment for the manufacturing sector now, a terrible business environment. That's why they move to places like China and Vietnam and things like that. Companies in general would rather do business in a more stable country like ours. They packed up that business and shipped it overseas because the United States of America allowed Democrats to turn this country hostile to business. So business left. That's true. It's true. So that's that. Now, as far as the pro-tariff people, remember John Carney came on the show. He talked about this.
I do think it will help on a longer term basis, not immediately. I do think there will be some price increases. I don't think they're going to be that much. I don't think they're going to, we won't see anything like what we saw during the Biden years where inflation got up to 9%. But I do think we'll see a half point of extra inflation. I don't think that lasts. So in other words, we'll get a one-time price hike in some things subject to tariffs, but only part of the tariff will get passed through to consumers. And once that comes through, you won't get year after year after year of price hikes. So I think we'll have a one-time adjustment. But further on down the road, as we are producing more goods and services more efficiently in the United States, when we are able to move trade away from where they have located it into places where stuff can actually be efficiently produced, I think we're actually going to see cheap goods, more reliable production, more reliable supply chains. We're going to be safer and more secure economically because of what we're doing today.
Okay. That's what John Carney thinks. John Carney is a very sharp guy. And I will say, I hope so. And for the Trump administration's sake, I hope that's the case. Little short-term pain, but then before too long, people are seeing benefits. Look, guys like billionaire Bill Ackman, he's out there talking about, he supported Trump. He's a former lefty, supported Trump. He warns of an economic nuclear winter, and he's saying things like, we didn't vote for this. I don't know, Bill. I would push back on the we didn't vote for this. Trump's talked about tariffs endlessly.
We're going to put tariffs on cars that are coming into our country. Smart tariffs will not create inflation. They will combat inflation. We're losing $2 trillion a year. With the tariffs, we can get that number down to a very manageable number. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States. And if they don't agree with us, we'll put a tariff of approximately 100 to 200% on each car. We have long been taken advantage of by other countries. They've taken advantage of us for years. We lose jobs, we lose revenue, and they gain everything. And we're really ready to make changes like nobody had seen before.
Okay. So you can't say we didn't vote for this. Donald Trump has not been shy about it, and he definitely didn't lie about it. My final word on this before we get to Megyn Kelly, and this will be the word that probably offends everybody, is this. I don't know whether or not these tariffs will work, and no one else does either. I don't know whether this is going to cause economic nuclear winter or if we're going to actually get our manufacturing reshored, and everybody acting like they're sure about which way it's going to go is lying to you. They're not sure. So let's approach this in this way. For the anti-tariff people, you can argue against the tariffs. There's plenty of great arguments to make against the tariffs. Do the best you can to not sound like an elitist snob who doesn't care about blue-collar people or blue-collar towns as you speak about them, because I see a lot about that. So if you're anti-tariff, be really careful about that. Now, for you pro-tariff people, in case you thought that was only going to go one way, be very, very careful you don't sound like an envious little communist when you talk about pro-tariffs, because I've seen a lot of that. I don't care about your 401k, whatever, boomer. Little communisty, little Marxisty. Don't be full of envy either. Let's see how it goes, cross our fingers, and hope for the best. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.